I am walking the perimeter of the United States of America to raise awareness and raise money to build shelter for homeless. Mainly homeless vets and disabled people. They come first. Anybody who served this country should never be homeless.
Why is that important to you?
Well, I've been working with homeless for 32 years, ever since I was homeless myself 32 years ago. But really why it's important is because there's so many that are homeless now in America.
You can start over. Yeah.
You know, there's so many people in America that are homeless. It's growing, it's not shrinking. And really, you know, what really saddens me is I walk around the country, I find so many cities pass laws that make it virtually illegal to be homeless. You know, when you pass a law that says it's illegal to sleep inside the city limits, that law is only passed for homeless people. They're not going to stop you from letting your kids camp out in the backyard. And what's really sad is we treat animals in this country, we care more about animals than we do our own brothers and sisters, you know, and fellow Americans. Fellow Americans who serve this country, living outside, but we worry about a little puppy that's outside in the cold or in the warm. You know, it's crazy. In a country this wealthy, we shouldn't have any vets or any disabled people in wheelchairs sleeping in the streets.
Why do we have this problem?
Why? Well, one of the biggest problems is the lack of low-income housing. Because some of the people out here really do have disability checks and stuff, but try finding a place to live for $611 a month and still be able to survive. So a lot of people, they live on the streets and use that for food and necessities. They have no options. The other reason is a lot of people can't find jobs. You know, in my business alone, you know, I understand everybody needs a job, but with the immigration influx, a lot of the Hispanic people are coming in and taking over a lot of American jobs that you know, we talk about them being, you know, agricultural workers. No, they're coming in doing construction and plumbing and heating and air and all this stuff, the labor parts of it, and taking away a lot of American jobs that used to pay good money. And that caused a lot of it.
When you talk to the homeless people you encounter throughout your journeys, what kind of is there any kind of a consistent theme in their stories as how they got to you?
Well, most of your older homeless people became homeless by losing their jobs. And then once you're homeless for 2 or 3 weeks and you don't have a job, you know, it's very hard to keep clean and keep nice. And, you know, when you go in and apply for a job, if you ain't got an address, what do you put down for an address? You know, and nowadays a lot of them don't have computer skills. So how do you go in most places want you to fill a job out online, you know, fill out a resume. Most people my age don't even know what a resume is, to be honest, you know. Most of them don't. And, you know, most of us in the construction business and stuff like that, we've never filled out a resume, we've never done that. I own my own company back in Virginia Beach, and I mainly try to hire veterans, you know, but that's not to say I don't give anybody an opportunity that has skill, but it's about, you know, it's about taking care of our own.
What's the answer? What do we do as a society to address this problem? And
well, the main problem with homelessness is nobody's willing to put the money forth to really benefit. We build shelters in different cities that are inadequate to take care of the amount of population. I mean, you know, here in Portland, there's many homeless, and you yourself said there's many shelters here, but I guarantee you there's not enough beds for the amount of homeless people. And the beds we put in these the way we build these shelters, we have these big rooms for everything else, and then we have this little tiny room we stuff a bunch of bunk beds in there, and you got a bunch of people crammed on top of a bunch of people, and nobody wants to be there.
It's like the barracks, isn't it?
Yeah, it's right, exactly. It's like being in a barracks. You know, nobody wants to be there. You know, especially a vet don't want to be in with a bunch of. You don't want to live like that. You know, everybody wants their. You know, we all like our personal space and our personal freedom. Why do we think? You know, even animals get their personal space and personal freedom in shelters. Why do we think human beings should be any less? And then we throw stuff at them that we call food. I call slop. You know, and I eat with these people all around the country. You know, and some places do have decent food, but most of them, you know, we throw whatever we can get people to donate. You know?
Now, some people just see these people and they say, why don't you get a job? Talk about the challenge of getting a job when you're homeless.
Well, that is a challenge. You know, a lot of people, well, most people really look at every homeless person and say, well, that's a drunk and a drug addict or an alcoholic, you know, and they don't really get to know the person. But the really difficult thing about getting a job is once you've been homeless for a certain period of time, you start to get a smell about your clothes and stuff, and it's very hard. There's places that do open up their doors to let you wash your clothes, but when you got 400 homeless people in a city and the place that offers this has 4 washers, how many people can actually do their clothes? You know, you have 6 showers and you got 4,000, you know, you got 1,000 homeless people living in your town. How do they all take a shower? You know, it's insane. We don't have the proper, and we don't care. That's the real thing. We don't care. You know, as a society in general, we try to overlook them.
What do you see as your mission?
Well, you know, about 8 months before I started this walk, I was praying to God, asking God why there wasn't a shelter being built in Virginia Beach. And God's answer to me was, well, all you are is going down there and feeding them, and you know, you're not doing anything either. And he laid it on my heart to walk. So I got on the computer and started looking for where to walk. And I thought I'd walk across America. And he said, no, if you want to build shelters around America, you have to walk around America. And so I prayed about it and prayed about it. And so I was convinced I had to walk. My goal, and if you check out my website at servantsofgodministries.com, the best thing is to go to my Facebook page, Leroy Bailey, and that links you to everything. And you'll see that my goal is to get 1 million people to donate $10 a month, and we can build a shelter in every city in America. You know, one at a time, one a month. We can start constructing real shelters. You know, you don't have to make these elaborate buildings. You know, they make really quality steel buildings now that you can erect very cheaply that can house a lot of people, and you don't have to house them in, you know, one room, you know, 50 bunk beds, 100 bunk beds. You know, that's nobody wants to live like that. You know, anybody will go there when it's freezing cold. But if the weather's not bad, they don't want to. They're not gonna live by all those rules. You know, we treat them in there like they're 12-year-olds. You know, they're adults. They're human beings. Yeah, there is a drug and an alcohol problem, but you sort that out as you get to know them. If you know they have a drug and alcohol problem, you separate them from those who don't.
And there's a perception in Portland and probably around the country that the homeless people that are sleeping outside want to be there. They don't want to be outside. What is your experience, Tony?
They want to be outside because they don't want all the ridiculous rules. We all know there has to be rules with everything. But you know, when you tell a person, you know, that's been smoking for 40 years that if they wake up in the middle of the night, they can't walk out the front door to have a cigarette, or you know, they can't have a cup of coffee after a certain time. All these silly rules. Or really, here's one of the problems is they want you to go sign in at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but you can't get in until 7, and then you got to be out at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I mean, you know, it's crazy. I mean, I was in Buffalo 32 years ago homeless, and at 6 o'clock in the morning when it's 5 below zero, it's still 5 below zero. The temperature didn't go up. You know, and you know, if it's pouring down rain, where do these people go? Yeah. You know, and then they go sit someplace where they're not supposed to be, and then they get arrested for loitering.
Right. Yeah. You say you have your own business?
Yes, I own a window siding roofing business. I've been building homes since I was 13 years old. Okay. I don't know anything different. Yeah. You know, and I closed my business up and to do this walk. You know, I got a wife waiting for me back home. We just celebrated our 21st wedding anniversary in June 25th. I was on the West Coast, she was on the East Coast. I haven't seen my wife in over a year.
Oh, wow.
You know, I mean.
So this is really important to you.
Oh, yes. I mean, you know, that's the hardest part of this walk is the loneliness. People don't realize how lonely you get, even when you get to a city. I don't know nobody. I've never been to any of these cities. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know how they treat the homeless there. I don't know what's going on in that city. And I try to mingle and find some homeless people to find out what the rules are so I don't break any. And then I try to, you know, communicate with people. Stop at a restaurant and talk to people about what I'm doing. Stop at a gas station, get a coffee, talk about what I'm doing, you know. And that's really my only means of communication besides Facebook. You know, I post every day where I'm at and getting people to follow me on Facebook and getting them to tell their friends about me. That's really been my only publicity. You know, it took me walking from Virginia Beach all the way to Savannah, Georgia before my hometown newspaper picked up the story. But really, I'm out here, I'm one of these people, I'm not like a lot of people you hear traveling the country. Right. I don't have the entourage. I don't have somebody going in front of me, finding me a place to sleep. I don't have a guaranteed car to sleep in or a van to sleep in. I have to find where I'm going to sleep, what I'm going to eat, you know. It's a whole different ballgame. You know, doing this unsponsored, basically, is, you know, is very difficult. You know, some teenagers, youth group in Kingsville, Texas, showed me how to build a GoFundMe campaign, and that's helped me immensely since, you know, I've been able to get a hotel here and a hotel there because of that GoFundMe campaign. If it wasn't for that GoFundMe campaign, I'd be in big trouble. I mean, not trouble, just it would have been a lot harder struggle. You know, and you know, if anybody wonders why I carry the American flags, I carry one for all the veterans that are still living in the woods, and one for all those died in the woods waiting for a place to live. You know, that's why they're there. You know, we have too many people, too many veterans in this country dying in the woods. and too many people dying in the woods. Look, last year, I don't know if you heard it or not, but they had 2 people that froze to death 4 blocks from the White House. Froze to death outside.
Wow.
You know, this is the country we live in.